Well, that was Blackstreet. Before I let you go, so initially when we first heard about the horrors of Uvalde, Texas, I remember clearly that the governor of Texas was singing their virtues. As a matter of fact, I think he said words to the effect that had it not been the heroic actions of law enforcement, that the loss of life would have even been greater. As tragic as it was, it would have been greater. And it's interesting because a couple of days later, he was angry. He was angry because he found out that what they had initially reported to him wasn't true. So imagine police officers reporting things that aren't true. Who would imagine that? Here's what is a fairly constant scenario. We see something happen or hear about something happen. The police give us their narrative, and it's totally the opposite of what we see. If it weren't for cameras, then we would have a lot of stories that ended the way police officers said they did, despite evidence. With Uvalde, Texas, there was matter of fact, one of the worst arguments I've ever had with one of my dearest friends was about Uvalde, and I immediately thought that those men were cowardly. Immediately, I thought it. It was absent evidence, but I immediately thought that the way the scenario went down, that there was a lot of cowardice. And he got so angry, and he was saying, well, you don't know what it's like to be a police officer. I don't, because I didn't sign up for that job. I do know what it's like to be deferential to police officers. I do what it's like to have the Constitution enshrine their mentality and protect them. The Supreme Court supplying qualified immunity is basically deference to their mental state and gives them leverage that they can act in a way that an otherwise unreasonable person might act because they're police officers. I do know they have pancake breakfast, and I do know that they got benefits and funds, and they're giving a lot of deference. They get deferential treatment. When I saw that video from Uvalde, and first off, who the hell is the mayor to get more mad at the video coming out than the police officers who perpetrated being police officers on that day? Because what that video showed was that there were men who fled immediately upon gunfire, who stood around aimlessly. There was no alacrity at all, no urgency at all. I would like some of the same urgency that you use when you see a young black man that you think might have a gun. We just saw a young black man shot 90 times, didn't have a gun. Where are those police officers when you need them? Where's the sense of urgency when you need them? When you saw those police officers milling around, and that's exactly what they do, you wouldn't have thought that children were in there being slaughtered. You would have thought there was a cat in a tree. No one moved with any alacrity or urgency at all. They did not want that smoke at all. And then some of these people have the nerve to fight to be a police officer? This is the very moment you were trained for. I remember a couple of months before this incident happened, allegedly the Uvalde SWAT team was taking pictures and showing how proud they were. They're talking about destroying the school, Robb Elementary. They need to dismantle that police department because it failed them. It failed them. 19 grown men, and there were as many as 100 around in the area. But those 19 men who fled immediately, milled around in the hallway, didn't even test the door to see if they could get in. Let those children die. Why would you fight to keep a job when you failed so miserably? You should slink away in horror. And initially, you tried to take the hero route. You tried to say that you acted bravely, and everybody took up the mantle because you're given that kind of deference. We always believe you until we see something different. I saw people on the phone. I saw one dude with a Kevlar vest on, an AR-15, and sandals. How urgent is that? But the most thing that I thought was the most disturbing, besides the mayor getting more angry that the video was released, besides the police department fighting so hard that no one could see it, besides the fact it took the police chief still hasn't spoken to this day, besides the fact that people are fighting to keep their jobs, one of the most sobering things, in addition, because they cut the video off, one of the scariest things, and that speaks to the mindset of those police officers, when I saw one police officer on the phone like he was just casually talking to his family, and another one using hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer while children are being slaughtered. Well, I can tell you this. Hand sanitizer and all the hand sanitizer in the world will not help you wash the blood off your hands, because that's exactly what's there. That's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.